reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 157. I'm Chris and I am joined by the ever so wonderful, the ever so eloquent, the ever so early waker upper, Harry Hall. Hi, Harry. That didn't end well. It started great, but it didn't end well. It was the follow through.
Yeah, I mean, good effort.
Thank you.
So, but
Thank
hi.
You. Hi. And of course, once again, we have the incomparable, the irreplaceable MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
Oh, hello, Chris.
How's it
I thought
going?
the first one was going to be about me, but then the early getter-upper just threw me right off.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
I never doubted that.
Yes, we are here once again to talk MMOs. We do have lots to talk about. A pretty interesting show, talking about some Camelot Unchained, some Star Citizen, and a little bit of Mist Online. That's right. So, before we get into that, though, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing in-game. Bill, what have you been up to?
The easy answer and the short answer is, but you know you're not going to get the short answer from me, so just settle in here. This is going to take a while.
Take a seat, folks. Take a seat.
Played Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is the only MMO I've played this week. I did some dungeon runs. I've done some dailies, and I built up the courage, Chris. I didn't even need you to hold my hand through the dungeon finder there. I jumped out in there. I put myself out there, and I risked myself against the wrath of the internet.
Did it work?
It actually worked. It didn't even die.
Okay. That's awesome.
Hold on. There's a dungeon finder now in Guild Wars 2?
Yeah, it's not bad, too.
What?
It's quite different, too, because instead of just randomly pairing you up, you go look at you go look in the dungeon finder, and what you'll see is people have created groups and say what they're going to do, and then you look through and you'll have, okay, this group is doing Cathedral of Flames story mode. This group is doing this dungeon. This group is doing this dungeon, and then you pick one and it groups you.
And even better than that, there's enough room to put a little tagline in there that says, like, for example, noobs need not apply, so you know that you can avoid the dick group. So,
Right.
Oh, God. There goes my entire week.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I do wish it auto-ported, but that's not really a big deal when you just have to port to the zone.
I was about to say, that's not... If there's anything that Guild Wars 2 does well, it's fast travel. But we're interrupting Bill. Please continue.
Anyway, yes, so Dungeon Finder, everything like that. I found a really good group. I found that the secret for anyone who hasn't tried the Dungeon Finder yet, Harry, is that if you're jumping into a dungeon you haven't run before, the very, very, very first thing you should say is, "Hi, everyone. I've never run this dungeon before. Is that okay?" Because every time I've done that, it's been a fantastically positive response. The last time I did it, they actually put in all caps, big letters, like 3 or 4 times, "Thank you." And they were very good. They gave me clear instructions, and it was a good group. So,
What dungeons did you run?
all Citadel Flame. I'm trying to get that armor.
Oh, you're still working on your
Well, the only good looking medium armor in the whole game is the Citadel Flame armor. Everything else has like a very weird mask to it, and or some other fatal flaw, or it looks like a dress, or
Right.
it's and I haven't been brave enough to like combine pieces yet or anything like that. So I want to get the Citadel of Flame set, and then I might try to get creative after that. But anyway, so that was my Guild Wars 2 experience. I did actually, I had a little 2012 flashback. I installed Rift and the Old Republic. I installed them beautifully, and I actually opened both of them and proceeded not to play. But they're on deck. It's going to happen.
Well, you shouldn't ruin the experience by playing Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh, I know. It installs so beautifully. It didn't even crash. The splash screen at the start is pretty nice.
Music is good, but then afterwards, just shut it down.
You know, I've missed Star Wars. I actually have missed some things in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I'm gonna try again. I've been bitten by the bug by a coworker as well. I have a coworker that's jumped back into World of Warcraft.
Okay, to go back to SWTOR for a minute, I'll jump ahead a bit to my bit, but I've been doing space PvP, and that doesn't suck.
It doesn't suck.
It's limited. It's like 2 maps, but the actual mechanics of it are fun. I'm really enjoying it.
So you're giving it a 6 out of 10. That's not bad.
I didn't give it any score.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't suck. To me, says 6 out of 10.
I'd probably give the mechanics like an 8 or a 9. The lack of variety would probably be like a 2 or a 3 because it is only 2 maps. And the whole experience, like the meta game of it, is maybe a 5. So yeah, 6 or 7. So
there you go. MMO Bill, game rater extraordinaire. I tell you what the game is before you, or I tell you how you're going to rate the game before you even rate it.
That's true. I wasn't even. I'm not doing a review. I'm doing a critique, like a visit and talking about it. But I'm not going to give it a score.
Okay.
I'm getting a video together. Anyway,
the final step here, and I'm going to share this because I'm going to make a pledge to the MMO Reporter community. I'm getting my New Year's resolutions out there.
All right.
I at the start of the year, I set up a little thing. My mother and I and my wife, we all kind of got into this discussion about New Year's and resolutions and how they suck. And it's the same discussion everybody has every year. This year, I decided to I decided to actually do it. I'm holding myself a little bit accountable to a few things.
Okay.
Things like, going fishing, going camping a little bit more, reading more, blah, 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 blah. And we all agreed that we were going to come up with a list of 20 things. So for like the last 3 weeks, I've been sitting on 19 things, and I couldn't think of something that was worthy of the 20th slot on my list for resolutions and goals for the year. And it finally hit me just like a day or two ago. I'm going to finish 5 games on my Steam library.
Ooh, that is a huge undertaking.
It's a big thing. Well, it's a big deal. This is like, it's a cultural phenomenon. Everybody has like 75% of their Steam library is games that they haven't finished.
Or played, or opened, or installed, or
exactly,
or thought about in several years.
So I'm taking the step. I'm gonna advance. I'm gonna get my money's worth. I paid $4 for Arkham Asylum, and gosh darn it, I'm gonna play it.
And how's that been going for you?
I've started Arkham Asylum. I've started Skyrim.
So you saw the load up screen for Arkham Asylum.
No, I played.
It's fantastic.
I played the first like 15, 20 minutes. It was not bad, and it's January. Give me a break. I'm going to get there.
Well, give him a few weeks. No,
the MMO Reporter community. Oh, for sure. Well, they're all good. Apparently, the second one, Arkham City, was a bit of a dip, and the most recent one, Arkham Origins, I saw got tons of good reviews. So
I liked Arkham Asylum. I've heard better things about it than Arkham City, but most of the things that I have heard about Arkham City have been, it's repetitious. Not that it's bad, it's just more of the same.
Mm.
And that's not a bad thing to me.
Yeah. Well, if it's more of the same of a good thing, then
exactly.
By transitive property is still good, right?
Oh, big words today, Bill.
Oh,
wow, $10 words right there. Wow. All right. Well, that's what you've been doing. What about you, Harry? What have you been doing?
Well, he said, clearing his throat for a long list. Well, it's not that bad. I've played EVE Online, obviously. I got back into it.
Obviously, is that just a
well-
regular thing, a given?
Well, the thing is, I got sick at the beginning of the year, and
Right.
then I don't play many games. So, but I did manage to set a skill because at Christmas, CCP handed out some Christmas gifts, just like every MMO does.
Right.
And a couple of things that they were giving out were actually pretty handy, namely Tech 2 scanners and Tech 2 hacking equipment, relic analyzers.
Right.
Excuse me, and they are quite powerful for the things that I spend most of my time with, which is hunting and scanning down anomalies which contain like mini puzzle games that you can get fat loot, and the loot is worth quite a lot of ISK. And the better your equipment, as everything in Eve, the easier it gets to hack those things, because you get a higher virus load and whatever to make everything more strongly. But it took about 15 days training time to get my skills up to the level that I could use the gifts that I was given. Well, being sick and just setting a skill was actually a good spending of time. So now I'm able to use all my my new toys, and
Nice.
I'm very happy with that. That's Eve. Just you set a skill, you play. You don't play for 2 weeks, and you get rewarded for it. I feel like I'm transforming into some kind of dude, bro, because I've been playing Call of Duty quite a bit.
Dude.
Bro,
Dude.
bro.
Oh.
The thing is, I love Modern Warfare. The Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the big breakout title that was just freaking awesome. It's one of the few games that I at that time I had to review the game. I had to is really not the word. I was allowed to review the game. I sat down at about 10 in the morning just to play the multiplayer and get a reading of it. And after a while, I think I should get something to eat. And I look at the clock and I said, no, it's not 5 in the afternoon. It's not possible. I have not played this game for 7 hours straight. That's not possible. And it was actually quite possible.
Oh, wow.
So you've been playing some Ghost.
Now I've been playing Ghost. And like a good news, bad news thing, the good news is it's exactly the same. The bad news, it's exactly the same. There is just no progress that I can tell, and I'm playing it on the PlayStation 4. So
Right.
graphically, it's slightly upgraded from the 360 version that I've also tried. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to just hop into a match and kill everybody, or in my case, kill 3 people.
And get
then
killed
die.
by everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the feeling.
But I like those competitive shooters. I just wish that what they did a little bit more with it. And that's why I also tried Killzone Shadowfall for PlayStation 4. Which looks gorgeous. It is amazing. I've never looked at sunlight in this way. It's the things they do with lighting and color and detail and the game is not bad actually. It's something I hate Killzone generally.
Right.
It's created by an Amsterdam studio, and some of my colleagues in the Dutch gaming community tell me to like it because it is Dutch. Have some national pride, dude. And I don't
Bro.
like the game,
Bro.
So I never liked Killzone games before, and this is actually the one that's entertaining because it's a little bit fun. You get a set of toys, and the levels are a bit more non-linear, so you have several objectives that you can tackle at your own leisure, and it works. It's fun. It's good, but it's especially good to see that the PlayStation 4 is capable of doing some amazing graphical stuff. So I'm having fun with that. I'm doing We Fit You.
Okay,
And
sorry.
my Wii
What?
Fit-
Okay, what?
We Fit You. Well, that's Nintendo is freaking insane, and they have a big problem with the Wii U. One of them is the freaking name, and they have this fitness piece of fitness software. They had that for the Wii as well. Wii Fit, and you have this balance board with that, which I have, and I also got the Wii Fit U game included with a step counter, and I have lost about 1 kilo in 2 weeks, which is good for me because I desperately need to lose another 15. Actually, 20. My We Fit You age when I first got on the freaking thing was 51, which is not good. But it seems to fluctuate because yesterday my age was 41, which is my actual age, which was kind of insulting because I feel like 30.
Oh, you look at least 30. I mean, at most 30.
I feel 12, but I don't think I'm gonna reach that weight anytime soon. Because I was fat. No, no, I wasn't actually when I was 12. But the thing is, it's the same that Bill described earlier on, that he has this step counter competition with his coworkers. Well, I don't have that with my coworkers, but I have it with myself. And as I said before the show, if you look at that step counter at the evening and you realize that the amount of steps you've taken the entire day was about 20, then you think long and hard about the way you're living your life. So I've actually improved that a lot, and I'm trying to walk everything. I'm walking to the store. I'm taking long walks downtown to the city, just to look at stuff and walk back, and just without any purpose at all. And I'm actually feeling healthy, and
That's good.
years are melting away.
It's amazing what just a little bit of movement will do. And what's the gaming solution or the gaming equivalent to this? It's the Oculus Rift Plus. What's that? That it looks like an elliptical trainer that you play on.
You have this 360 degrees treadmill thing.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called though. But you put those two things together, boom, fit gamers. Every gamer is just ripped, 6-packs all around.
That's funny.
Well, the trick is I've reached, because I'm a geek, I've researched this, and the trick isn't to do to exhaust yourself. Just walking 5 miles burns the exact same amount of calories as running 5 miles. It just takes longer, but you won't die like I would if I would run 5 miles. So that's good. Apart from that, I'm still. Bill just said a word that I'm going to hate him forever, because he said he was tempted to install World of Warcraft, and now I am too. And I got this stack of World of Warcraft time cards still tucked away, like for in case of emergency. And I feel the need. But I think I managed to stave off this dangerous thought by playing the dungeon runs in Guild Wars 2, which is the first thing I'm going to do after we stop recording.
Very nice.
So that's my week in games.
Cool. As for me, I can't talk about it too much because a lot of what I've been doing has been under embargo. But I've been playing some Wildstar. Which
you got the Elder Scrolls beta as well? What do you think about? Oh wait.
No, but I have been playing some Wildstar, and I have a sort of a benchmark I'm trying to set for myself of getting all my characters up to 15 by a certain point, and one character at some predetermined amount of levels above that. I can't say how much because that's out under embargo. So I'm kind of working on that and working through all the different character classes, and I'm just waiting until they let us release enough content to talk about dungeons and stuff like that. And then I'm really looking forward to comparing all the different classes and their different roles and the different types of tanks that you can have and healers and trying all that stuff out. Because the lower those first 15 levels, you don't have enough character customization to get a feel for those roles yet. Everything just kind of feels the same as you go into the different role. You just can't go deep enough into the different roles to be an effective healer, right? So in the end, you're always sort of hybrid-ish. So that
the typical MMO feeling,
lower levels, right?
Same, yeah.
Well, but at lower levels, right?
At lower levels, obviously.
It's not necessarily that every class feels the same. It's that every spec for the class right now feels the same. The classes feel different, but a DPS spec versus a healing spec for a medic, it does not really make much of a difference up to level 15.
Right. So,
I mean, that's fine. That's normal. I've also been doing some Star Wars The Old Republic Space Combat, like we've been talking about. And I just wish there were more maps. I just wish there was more to do because I really enjoy what I'm doing. I just would like to have variety. Variety is nice, right? You can't.
So what do you do? Is this X-wing versus TIE fighter type space combat?
It's control point based. So there's 3 control points on each map that you have to take over, and you take over by being around it. And if the enemy is controlling it, they have turrets around it that are there. So you have to kill the turrets and kill all the enemies. And when there's no enemies and no turrets, then there's the little scale that goes over the little bar, and then once you control it, then you're gaining points for that particular point. So
it's not full 3D. It's in the plane.
No. Full 3D. Completely and utterly full 3D. These are space stations.
As opposed to moons.
Well, as opposed to, sitting on the ground, right?
No.
I understand.
That's no moon.
Yeah, it's a space station. I understand.
That we have to point this out is kind of worrying, actually.
But you didn't have to point it out to me.
Jeez, that line was just sitting there.
Yeah.
It was on the tee.
Anyways, so I've been enjoying that and looking forward to doing some more of that as time allows. And I've also been playing some World of Warplanes, which is still a lot of fun. I gave that one a 5 out of 5 on my review for it. I just really enjoy all of my time in it. Bill and I played a little bit. I don't think you fell in love with it as much as I did, Bill, but I just really like the dogfighting aspect of it and the playing, and the free-to-play scheme is not horrible, right? It's just perfectly acceptable and reasonable.
Not horrible, not sucking. You're overflowing with compliments this morning.
Okay, but here's the thing. Unless a
Effluviant,
free-to-play
you might
game
say.
gives you everything for paying nothing, it's never going to be perfect. This is a great way for them to set up a way to encourage people to pay money. It doesn't give the people who do pay money a huge unfair advantage. Really, it does come down to skill. You're not going to be able to just waltz in there with absolutely zero skill and own the air if you bought the best plane that you can get with. They kind of have a really cool thing where they have a different tier of planes that you can get with your purchased currency, and a earned plane with earned currency that is all maxed out and that you've worked is always going to be better than the purchased plane. So I like that. Right? So that's a pretty good way. But I always say it doesn't suck because, well, yeah, everybody would rather just get it all for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so I've been doing that. And then some Lego Marvel superheroes as well on the 3DS. And having some fun with that. But that's just sort of a filler game.
World of Warplanes looks pretty good, actually.
Mm-hmm. The graphics are great. And when I had it on Infinity, looked fantastic.
I
right?
can only imagine.
And to the point where I have a little bit of vertigo regularly, and it gave me motion sickness. It was good enough for that because I've got an LG ultra wide 29-inch monitor right now that I'm taking a look at.
Yeah.
And then I've got my two 27-inch monitors to the side, so it's my peripheral, right? And I always have an issue when my eyes and my inner ear don't agree. So my eyes are saying that I should be feeling this huge amount of motion as I flip upside down. And my ears are saying, nope, you're sitting on your ass. And my stomach says, would you guys stop fighting? You're making me upset. Get it?
When you hear voices like that, that usually means that you definitely should turn off the monitor because it has some side effects that you didn't read. And anyway,
yeah,
did
like
you play
vomiting.
anything else? Did you do anything
no.
like heroic, for example?
I already said that. Thanks for listening.
Oh.
That's like that's like last week when I tried to make the the Black Flag joke with the music, and you had already talked about it, and I had been too busy looking up the music. That's like you right now. You did that. You were the dumb one today.
It happens once in a century, so
That
enjoy it while it lasts.
that it does. All right, let's move on to the news.
What happened to the girl?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
we have new transition music.
This sounds like we're going to war.
Well, it's perfect music for the story that's coming up, isn't it, Bill?
So we've
It
declared
is.
war to another podcast. Sorry,
Sort
please.
of. Although really every game we cover is some kind of war. When was the last time we covered an MMO that didn't have some war as the central theme?
Well, maybe at the end of the show, Bill. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, true.
Let's just think about that for a bit. Anyway, in the meantime, we can think about other awesome MMOs. In particular, Camelot Unchained just had a little Q&A go up with KeenanGrave.com, which is I've never been to that website before today, but bravo to Keenan Grave for getting this Q&A on Camelot Unchained, just talking about what the game is going to be like, what it's going to be taking from Dark Age of Camelot, what kind of feel they're going for, and everything like that. So it's if you're at all a Dark Age of Camelot historian or nostalgic for it or whatever, it's a good read because it's got me just super pumped for Camelot Unchained now. Just kind of going by some of the points that I pulled out of that. I'm not going to go through every Q&A question because, do it yourself. Come on. You could pace around while you do it. Get yourself some extra steps. But some of the nice things that they took away there, they talked about, one question was about the combat style, because one of the things that's popular in MMOs these days is the kind of action-based or Twitch combat, where it's the combat is based a lot more, or it's at least partially or significantly based on how well you move, whether you can jump at the right time, blah 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 blah. They basically said no, that's not how it's going to be like at all. Combat is the answer that they gave in the Q&A makes me think that the combat is probably going to be very just algorithm calculation based and everything like that. So probably a lot more in line with what Dark Age of Camelot was, lending itself hopefully to maybe a little bit of strategy and teamwork and taking down the right guys at the right time and everything like that. What's probably going to happen is the biggest Zerg will just win, but you never know. I'm hopeful. I'm being optimistic. The other question that I thought was kind of cool, and unfortunately it's going to be trumped a little bit later on, but we'll get to that, is they were already talking about the out-of-game chat. It's a system that they're working on right now, and it's going to be set up so that you can log in from anywhere. You can use chat clients outside of Camelot Unchained to talk to your guild or talk to the various chat rooms within Camelot Unchained, which is just... it's one of those things that's been talked about a million times for other games, but almost never implemented. So I thought that was cool. They're sticking with the no mirrored classes are among the 3 realms. So each realm is going to have its own set of classes, its own set of races, its own set of benefits, which tells me that we're going to get the same balanced nightmare that we got with Dark Age of Camelot, where everybody is whining about how everyone else is OP, and it's going to make the forums just delicious.
Doesn't that mean that everything's right when everybody's complaining that everybody else is OP?
No, because there is very clearly a flavor of the month class in Dark Age of Camelot. There just always was, whether it was some sort of archer or some sort of stealther or point blank AoE classes or whatever. There was always a flavor of the month. The Necromancers was another good one. But what was delicious about it is I used to post quite a bit on the Vault network or the Vault forums for Dark Age of Camelot, specifically for my server, Bedivere. And it was... I have never had a forum experience in my life like that. I think I had like 10,000 posts on that forum. And I couldn't even tell you one significant thing I ever said. And everyone was like that. It was just dumb posting, horrible vitriolic forums, and it was just delicious. I have incredible nostalgia for it. So anyway, they talk about zerging, that it's a thing. They realize people like to zerg, but they're going to try to make ways that make it so that zerging isn't the end all and be all, that there's going to be ways to break zergs, or there's going to be other strategies for advancing better. And they also talked about the fact that player-built structures are going to be a big thing, which is very cool because to this day, I don't know that there's a housing system better or at least what I like better than what went into Dark Age of Camelot. They had neighborhoods, they had houses that were actually very functional as well as cool looking and everything like that. Wildstar might wind up being different. They're talking big about that, but we'll see. So I'm sort of excited they're going down that road. So anyway, those are kind of the big points that I pulled out of that and I've diatribed on. What do you guys think? Are you pumped for Camelot Unchained?
Personally, I am.
Yeah, go ahead, Harry.
Oh well, I was my first Realm versus Realm experience was with the flawed Warhammer Online game, but I did see the potential for what it actually could have been, the Realm versus Realm lakes, and the most amazing experience I had in that game was the siege battles. Even though the system was broken, I could see what it was intended to do, which was perfected in Guild Wars 2. But I would love to see what a team could do with a purified, a pure Dark Age of Camelot reimagining. Just going to this player versus player big battle fantasy style. I'd love to see that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I really like that they're not shying away from some of the things that were called out as flaws in Dark Age of Camelot, because there were, and I recognize some of those flaws in this Q&A, and I can see that the game is going to wind up being imperfect. It's not going to be the MMO from the heavens that's perfect in every way that everyone will find just wonderful in every aspect. But it's going to stick. It feels like the Q&A is talking in the same vein that the old game was, and that makes me optimistic for the future.
Yeah, and I like the idea, and I hope that they manage it well. But the idea of the no mirrored classes too. That was always interesting in Dark Age of Camelot, like you were mentioning before. I don't know if I'm excited about the game, though, because it really feels like this is going to be one of those games that to get much out of it, you're going to have to invest incredibly heavily to get in with a group so that you can get into the Realm versus Realm stuff with your guild or whatever they end up calling it. And it doesn't feel like it's going to be able to be one of those games that you can pop into and play casually. This really seems like to get much out of the game, you're going to have to be in there full bore.
Well,
but that's
I
good.
kind of think... Well, and I think you're going to have choices here because, I mean, Zerging, I can tell you from the original Dark Age of Camelot, was a completely skillless, just a mass of people converging on a point and bashing on all the red names. I know this because I was one of those Zergers, and that was how I played. And that was always accessible. You could just kind of glom on and you would do okay. You'd get some realm points and you'd get some kills and you'd probably die a lot and you might get obliterated by an army half your size that actually knew what they were doing, but it was still fun. So I think you can still get into it, but there is going to be, I can almost guarantee there's going to be a significant layer of elitism in the game because, again, was there in Dark Age of Camelot, and there's going to be a motivation that I think there's probably, again, from the tone of the Q&A, there's going to be a motivation for running around in a very tight, objective-focused group that maybe is like 5 or 6 people and mobile and all...
Right.
Tightly organized on TeamSpeak or Ventrilo or whatever. So it's...
I do hope that, like, I don't have a problem with it being like that at all. It's just not my type of thing. And the second thing, though, with my Guild Wars 2 WoW experience, World vs. World experience, I hope they do have those small teams so that, you know, the 3 of us plus a few friends can jump on at one point and go in and actually be useful as a small strike team, rather than in Guild Wars 2, you're useless in that situation.
Yeah. Well, you can do a couple of things with a small group, but it's so limited.
Well, but unless you're ready to run supply like crazy... You can't, you know,
Well,
you could hide a catapult somewhere and then build it and then hope nobody finds you. And then, but, you know, if any sort of group comes towards you, you're done. You got to run and leave the catapult. And that's a lot of time to get that set up with a small group because you don't have the supply.
Yeah, that's. I was wondering how Zerging in Guild Wars 2 compares to the old Daeok days.
Well, because you played both, right, Bill? Well, how do they compare Guild Wars 2 versus Dark Age Camelot?
It's so far it seems similar, like in as far as stepping into it and engaging and everything like that. You look for a leader or a glob of people and you just kind of join in, and you tab shoot, tab shoot, tab shoot, tab shoot, and eventually one side wins and the other side loses. I find that in that regard it's similar. Camelot, I don't know how or what they've done differently, but Dark Age of Camelot lent itself a lot more to actual three-way battles where two armies would be fighting each other and then the third would kind of sneak in and try to obliterate both sides. And to me, in my mind and what I remember, that happened a lot more in Dark Age of Camelot than it ever happens in Guild Wars 2. I've had a tiny handful of those kind of battles in Guild Wars 2, whereas I remember it happening like at least once per session you would get a fight like that. So I don't know if it's because the maps were narrower or planned out a little bit differently, whereas Guild Wars 2 maps tend to be a lot more wide open and lots of different paths to get to the same place and everything like that. But that's the difference that I've seen so far.
Okay. Well, it sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it as it gets closer and closer to release.
Another game that's getting closer and closer to release is Star Citizen. At least they're adding stuff to it. It's the game by Chris Roberts that's a spiritual successor to the Wing Commander games or the Privateer games that he created. And after the dogfighting module, now the new organization module is about to launch or has just launched. And that is basically adding social options to the game. And the interesting thing is that this is very much a early start of this system. They got to go out of their way to say that this is not just a guild system. It's not just slap a guild chat system on it and you're done. It is a way for players to organize themselves in different ways. And there are a couple of quotes that I found interesting in here. First is basically this is only the beginning of the organization system. Cloud Imperium remains dedicated to creating an environment for Star Citizen squadrons, clans, and guilds to flourish, which tells me that they make a distinction between these different aspects of the game, which I find interesting. If there is different ways of organizing teams in a structured way, rather than just have this one size fits all guild stamp over it. That's interesting. Then you can have a small fleet, and that fleet can be hired by a guild, and that guild can be part of a alliance or something like that. And if that's the direction they're taking, that sounds freaking awesome. And they are also saying this organization system isn't just about letting you group together with friends and gamers. It's about backers beginning to shape Star Citizen's lore. So this introduction of the social system is also a way for players to start organizing themselves and have some adventures and friendships that will become part of the actual canon of Star Citizen, which is a cool idea. I mean, it's kind of lifted from EVE Online's fully player-driven history, basically. I mean, there is this backstory of the planets and the Empire and the Amara or whatever, but the actual true stories that people like to tell each other and share is what people experience in the game. And it looks like Star Citizen is taking a page from that book as well.
And for, as someone who has not done a ton of research, like I don't know a ton about Star Citizen. I'd say I know the very general big plans of it. It seems in a lot of ways that this is going to become like an action version of EVE, where it's not necessarily as pedantic in its pace as EVE can be in the majority of times, but that the majority of it is going to be more action based, but it really seems to have the same sandbox universe inspiration that EVE does.
If they manage to pull that off, and I get the same sense that you get, they make it so much more accessible. And
right.
Then they could have a large group of people who are... I mean, EVE Online is a great game, but it's very cerebral and it's very tactical. It's more like playing an RTS. and or a civilization game than it is playing a space sim in the traditional sense. And
Right.
if this brings together the adrenaline in the action of big fleet battles and small ships and cockpit views and all that, then I
Yeah,
think
if they
have
can,
a really accessible game.
if they can have the metagame be cerebral like Eve, but the foot soldier game be like Wing Commander, like you're hitting both crowds, right? You can get the Eve crossover for the people who are looking for a bit of an update to Eve to come to Star Citizen and still take on that sort of guild leader, army leader, squad, fleet leader, and take on that meta game. And then you can have the guys who are going to be the grunts in the cockpits, who just want to come in and shoot stuff.
Well, yeah.
Which you can't really do in Eve, can you? You have to have a little bit more planning to be a viable player.
Well, you could debate that, but from the point of view of the casual player who wants to get into Eve, it feels like you have to do a lot of planning. But a veteran would say, no. Everybody who just gets into the game can basically try anything and just get into the combat and even succeed if they're under good guidance. But that's in no way comparable to just getting into a cockpit and shoot at stuff. And get that really visceral feedback of flying something directly rather than clicking on a place and moving. So I think in that way, this would be much more fun for much more people.
Agreed.
So, but another couple of things that they're talking about in the new organization devblog is the API link, which is also something that I really like in games. If you have the ability to pull data from the game you're playing and take it and check it out on your phone or on your PC when you're at work and interact with the game in a way that's just outside of your regular gameplay. And apparently that's something they are willing to support. And they're not giving much detail, but they are definitely saying it's possible to pull data from the game and experience and immerse yourself in Star Citizen outside of the actual game.
Now, one of the things about Star Citizen, and I'm mentioning this because we're going to talk about it with the next segment as well, is it was Kickstarted. And after the successful Kickstarter, they did backing on and continue to do backing on the site itself. And the amount that you back will affect how much you get in the terms of ships and access to the game before it's launched and stuff like that. I've seen on Reddit some people who've shown their accounts who've spent thousands of dollars backing Star Citizen and will get just an impressive amounts of ships at launch. And so for this particular situation, Harry, I'm wondering what you think of that continued backing will get you stuff and access to the game system.
Could you? I'm not sure I follow.
So I know you've talked about betas and actually our chat room's talking about it now for Wildstar, paying for beta access through a pre-order.
Well,
Star Citizen now does something similar but different in that they did the Kickstarter, and of course Kickstarter has its reward levels, right? And they still have funding through their site. You can still fund the game through the site. It's up to 20-something million now. I think, isn't it 30 now? Hit 30 million a few weeks ago. So
probably, yeah.
You can fund it that way and get stuff for it, including as part of that access to the game. What do you think about that?
I think there's a distinct difference between kickstarting a game or being part of the funding of it and trying it out in that way. There's this whole wave of paid alpha games as well. I mean, Minecraft paved the way for that, which is a different experience than using a beta as kind of a demo for the game. I mean, what you're seeing here is people who eyes open, fully aware, step into the development process of a game and are aware that they are contributing bug reports, play testing experience, making sure that servers are able to run at high, density. That's what people are paying for and want to be part of that. And I think there's nothing wrong with that because you are aware what you're doing. I think that is a very different from selling early access or in the sense of a beta access as a demo or trying to get into the game on day one. I think that's a completely different situation.
Okay.
I'll make sure, just because I didn't make the point clear enough before. And I almost touched on it last week, and I know you're bored of this, but the difference is beta testing should be about quality control and about finding bugs and making sure the game is ready for launch. So what you do is you beta test the game until it's launch ready, and then you start asking money for it. And then people are assured of a good experience. Currently, beta is used as a demo, and launch is used for testing, because it's at that point that most of the bugs seem to surface and people have bad experiences. And what I advocate is force developers to use beta testing what it was intended to and make launch as good as it can be, so it's worth stepping in at day one. And currently, no game pulls that off, with very few exceptions.
Okay. I kind of disagree, but we've had that argument before, so I think you stated your point very, very eloquently.
I also just want to throw in here, too, the difference between, and again, if we get down to the difference between pre-order versus kickstarting, the very clear difference there for me is, and it doesn't even have anything to do with beta access or anything like that, is a pre-order is... It's a marketing technique. It's a game that's already happening. Kickstarter is, do you want this game to get made? If you don't donate, the game might not happen. When you get to the pre-order stage for a game, or when you're pre-ordering with the benefit of beta testing or whatever, like, and all the stuff that Harry, not even Gary, it was actually Harry, just said about the value of beta testing and what a beta testing should be. It's actually the difference between whether your game happens or not. That's the what's the word here? The qualitative difference between the two.
Star Citizen has successfully kickstarted. This game will be made, right? It's still accepting, founder stuff and support through its website. It's no longer about the game being made or not. That's going to happen. It's successful Kickstarter.
And in my mind, they're starting to burn a little bit of the social capital that they built through Kickstarter. If they had shut it down and built a little bit of a bit of a scarcity thing for the Kickstarters, I think that they would be just riding high on the social capital and the love of the community, especially the people who did Kickstart and have that feeling of exclusivity and that feeling that we really made something special happen here. I think that they lose that now because it feels just more like I understand the economics of it, that there are no or that Chris Roberts is basically just trying to push this through on the money that he's pulling from the community, or at least that's the impression I get from it. It doesn't seem like there's big publishers or backers or anything like that are ponying up dough and investing and that kind of thing. That said, the continual sale, or quote unquote sale, of the game, even after it's been kickstarted and it's crossed that line that you said, this is what we need to make the game, it cheapens it a little bit.
All right. I think we've had a good discussion about this, and also some new information coming out about Star Citizen. So I think the more I hear about it, the more excited I am for it. So let's move on to our next group of stories. So from one gaming icon to another, Richard Garriott's Shroud of the Avatar has raised a total of $3 million in crowdfunding and prepares for release 2 of, I think they're still calling it Alpha. So this is Shroud of the Avatar, and as well, they have what they say on their site. They have 26,000 backers, and they are promising early access to the game by pledging $45 or more. Now, I think unlike Star Citizen and the discussion that we had before, this is a little bit more about the access than about supporting the game, at least in this particular delivery. Wouldn't you agree, gentlemen?
Well, if you look at the page, I mean, and this just jumps out at you. The big bold letters are "Don't get left behind." Gain early access in bright blue letters, and then back to regular lettering, to the game by pledging $45 or more.
Yeah.
That to me is just like Gary. Or dang it, I really want you to be Gary. Come on.
Can we just change that?
It's for a few minutes. Twin. It's my evil twin. He has a goatee.
Anyway, to me it's very clear that this is selling beta rather than using beta to make the game better, and it's that whole principle there. So to me it's clear, and it gets a thumbs down from me. Again, burning the social capital that they gained from Kickstarter.
Well, there is also this thing of, I mean, if you ask people to kickstart something, it's not like there are rules or something. The idea are co-developing it if you invest through Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big difference. It's not about playing the game as soon as possible. It's being aware that you are helping out on the development. I did an article about Wasteland 2, which is also a Kickstarter game. It's one of the biggest Kickstarter games, if I remember correctly. You know Wasteland, right? It's basically what Fallout was. Fallout was a sequel to Wasteland, and Wasteland 2 is basically Fallout 3 as intended by Brian Fargo and his team. And I played the beta that's currently out for an article, and it's just not done. And that's not fun to play if you want to just play the game, but it might be a whole lot of fun for a little bit a group of technically inclined players who want to develop with the developers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big difference. And Shroud of the Avatar, as Bill says, it's just early access for $45.
Right.
I'll wait until it's free to play.
So moving on from that portion of it, they are talking about Release 2, so their next alpha release. They're going to release it next week, but details will be released on this Wednesday. So today for Harry, tomorrow for those of us in North America, or a few days ago by the time you listen to this podcast. So they are going to release some details about it, so if you want to wait until you see what's going to be in Release 2, you could wait a few days, or just wait till this podcast goes live, and then you could hear that. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming out. I know, Harry, you are not... Okay, sorry, I have to pause totally. If you look at the live stream right now, gentlemen, on the screen is a pin, actually, of the logo of Ultima Online. I still have that pin from when I originally ordered Ultima Online. I have my box copy. I have a Lord Blackmore statue up on my desk from Zeomox, if I'm remembering the name right, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who very kindly sent that in and got to see that. So I buy into the Ultima universe. And having seen parts of this game, I don't know if I buy into Shroud of the Avatar or not. It just seems to be incredibly hardcore. And I played Ultima even then I just went through sort of the main story. And Ultima Online, I played for a while, but I did not get hardcore into that game because it was too hardcore.
I've read some interviews with Gary. We've also discussed them in the show, where he was talking about the ultimate RPG, and that's been his goal from the start, to make something very hardcore and detailed and simulation-y and sandboxy.
Right.
So if that's not your thing anymore, then this is not a surprise that it's going in that direction. I would love to try it out. I'm open to that experience because I missed out on it.
Yeah, I want to see more. I want to see more, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'll give him a call tomorrow. See what I can.
You go ahead. See what he's doing.
I tried to get an interview with Stephen Fry for a magazine, and I got this ever so polite rejection. But it was very cool to get a rejection
from Stephen Fry.
Well, yeah. And,
yeah, totally. I agree with you 100%.
I mean, the way it was phrased was like this. I mean, I asked I write for a Macintosh magazine, and they want interviews with people who are famous who use Mac stuff. And Stephen Fry, I mean, I thought, this is an excuse, talk to Stephen Fry, damn it. So I lay out my plans. I ask for an interview, and I get this email back. Most regretful apologies from Stephen Fry that he is politely declining this interview request. I think that's perfectly
Did you
phrased.
print it off and post it on your wall?
I framed it.
You see, the funny thing is we laugh, but I might if that happened to me.
Getting rejected by Stephen Fry is better than being ignored by Stephen Fry. That is just that's math.
Well,
That's
actually, this is my girlfriend's response because it came from Stephen Fry's personal assistant, Joe Cocker. Joe Crocker, actually. And I said Joe Crocker, and she said, but Joe Cocker is famous. Ask him. I said, no, J-O, not J-O-E. But I actually should just mail back like, okay, maybe you're famous. Maybe I can interview you. completely non sequitur. Never mind. We're completely going off track. I'm sorry. I apologize for this.
You're horrible. We're gonna run out of time, Harry.
Yeah, let's go on to maybe we can regain some time by traveling back.
Dang it! I was gonna. Yes, we could travel back. Oh no, we can't because we're out of time.
This podcast is bigger on the inside than it's on the outside.
Not only have we run out of time, but Doctor Who has run out of time.
Aww.
Get your tenses right. Yeah.
Grammar boom.
Well, it's pretty hard to get your tenses right when you're a time traveler.
Yes,
no,
it's very confusing.
it will have been difficult to.
Is it something that you will have done in the future, or is it something that you will do in the past?
It's just timey-wimey. Damn it, I can't.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. Darn it, get it right.
Yeah.
Come on. Get it right.
I made people cringe.
Oh, you're a
Okay,
bad
just
person.
because people are still scratching their heads wondering what the heck we're talking about. Apparently there is a Doctor Who online MMO out there, and apparently it's ending on February 28th.
Right. I don't think we could get enough apparentlys in there.
Well, this was new. I mean, it was unfortunate because I read this. I'd never heard of this before, and I'm still sad that it's going away.
You know, the problem is Leonor probably played it.
Well, what I'm just realizing is that apathy and disinterest is able to do what Daleks and Cybermen never did.
Oh, that's funny. Oh.
I'm such a big Doctor Who nerd.
Man.
For my birthday, which was January 10th, I got a 50-year special edition Monopoly set
Nice.
for Doctor Who, which is awesome.
Nice.
You got this little as play pieces. You have a sonic screwdriver and a bow tie and.
Oh, cool. Well, if anybody is sad about this game going offline, you can send your hate mail to Leonor at MMOReporter.com.
Which is just our general hate mail address.
Correct.
So anything you dislike about anything, that doesn't even have to be about our podcast.
Nope.
I mean, if you dislike Obamacare or like it, just send it to
Some
Leonor.
guy cuts you off in traffic, Leonor at MMOReporter.com.
Too cold
Send
for you
your
and
profanity-laden voicemails, too.
dislike the fact that the Xbox One version of of Call of Duty runs on a lower resolution than the PS4 version, just mail Leonor.
If you don't like the fact that the PS4 can't play 3D Blu-rays while the PS3 can, Leonor at MMOReporter.com.
If you get really pissed off by swearing, Leonor at MMOReporter.com.
Very true.
And if you dislike the release the Kraken bits, just email
Leonor at MMOReporter.com. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, Harry, before we come under fire too much, we should probably move on.
Yeah, this is a game I know nothing about, but it is apparently an amazing-looking MMO, which is doing an American beta test this week on January 23rd until January 26th. There is this beta window, and it is a combination MMO RTS. It even switches between standard RPG third-person view and
RTS?
bird's eye view. Yeah, bird's eye RTS view.
Cool.
It's early. My English is rusty. Not my accent. It's perfectly Dutch.
You don't have an accent, Harry. What are you talking about?
A boot. Yeah. Anyway, it's I'm getting silly here. We have to get moving. It's an RTS MMO RPG which is now opening up for beta testing, and they recommend you update your drivers and dive in and be part of history before you pay.
Isn't this the one that we talked about before, where you're the hero and you get your army that you come? We've talked about it on the show before, Harry, right? You're your hero, and you get, like, you know, your army. You can have like up to 100 in your army that follow you around, and then you go fight other players, and you have a couple hundred people on the screen.
I just realized they have incredibly heroic women again, wearing almost no armor, which makes them incredibly brave.
Yeah,
I think nudity is a weapon in these wars.
Yeah.
Look at my huge boobs and fear me.
So
Tremble in the sight of these two wonders of the world.
All right.
I'm
again,
concerned.
folks, Leonor at MMOReporter.com.
I'm a little concerned about I feel like they're getting peanut butter in my chocolate and chocolate in my peanut butter here. I place RTSs in a certain way, and I really wouldn't want to be that guy on the front line of my team on an RTS.
Yeah,
because I really don't treat them very well.
It's not RTS like that. It really is your hero gets the army, and they kind of go with you to go fight on the battlefield, and it's less RTS and more it's more adding RTS elements to the MMO than adding MMO elements to the RTS.
Is it just like everyone is an ultra pet class, maybe?
Pretty much, yeah. In that way. So
okay.
Yeah, so if you're into that, and I mean the combat looks interesting, very quick. It's following this sort of action MMO fad, for lack of a better word, or direction that keeps going on. And you can see, those of you watching live, you can see sort of the big, huge battles with tons of characters on screen and all the stuff that's happening there. So very interesting to see so many characters on screen in an MMO. So, all right. If you want to be in the beta, you must like them on Facebook, then have 5 of your friends like them as well. Yeah, interesting. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Here we go. Now, here's the thing, and I don't know if you can tell, Harry, through the internet connection, but man, you can tell the difference between an orchestrated score and a MIDI score. That is beautiful. Beautiful. That is, of course, music from Wildstar. All right, so our MMO flashback for this week is talking a little bit about Myst Online. Uru Live. Uru, Ages Beyond Myst, was an adventure video game developed by Cyan Worlds and published by Ubisoft. Released in 2003, the title is the 4th game in the Myst storyline. Cyan began developing Uru shortly after completing Riven in 1997. Uru required 5 years and 12 million to complete. Funny thinking now that Chris Roberts has 30 million to play with for Star Citizen. So it was originally conceived as a multiplayer game. The single-player portion was
corrected for inflation, right? I mean,
I
think this would be about 30 million now.
Oh, not quite. It's not hasn't doubled like cost of things. Anyways,
Back in 1997, you
Yeah,
could get
yeah,
a loaf
yeah,
of
yeah.
bread for a nickel.
so let's take a look at the video here. So this is Mist Online.
Desert. Hidden beneath the scorching sands lies a broken civilization lost for eons. Until now. From the makers of the legendary Myst franchise comes a new adventure, an unsolved mystery, an unforgettable experience. New worlds, new puzzles, for you alone or together with friends. The only limit is your imagination.
So it was originally conceived as a multiplayer game, but then they put out the single player part only, and unfortunately the multiplayer part was delayed and eventually cancelled. The online video game service GameTap released the multiplayer portion of Uru as Myst Online Uru Live in February 2007, but that service was cancelled again the following year due to lack of subscribers. GameTap passed the rights to Uru Live back to Cyan, who relaunched the game for free in 2010 and is still running today on donations from the players. Now, Cyan has also released the source code for the game and allows anyone to make improvements to the code, make new content, or run their own servers.
I can remember people talking about this game in podcasts back in the day, and it was actually a cooperative puzzle-solving game,
Right.
which sounds
Really
actually
interesting,
not,
right?
Not really.
No?
No.
I don't really imagine standing in a room looking at symbols and trying to figure out where the what's it goes into the
Well,
whatnot.
But Bill,
As
I
a
remember you.
gameplay experience.
I remember you saying you played through Monkey Island cooperatively with Asani, didn't you?
Well,
I did.
that's a little bit. You really played? You played Monkey Island with Asani? I think we're gonna have to have a chat, Harry.
Actually, I said I didn't, and it was like he was directed at me. Like I didn't. I never
Oh.
touched. I never touched the Monkey Island with Asani.
Okay, I
Honestly.
see.
No, Bill. Bill.
I wish it was a video podcast just so I could do the little Meet the Fockers. I'm watching you.
Anyways,
Anyway.
Bill.
Yes.
And
That
it's
was
very
different.
puzzle based, isn't it?
It is very puzzle based, but I mean it was one controller and we figured out the puzzles and I don't know. To me this reminds me. I'm thinking of what's that one dungeon in Lord of the Rings Online? It's that inn in the middle of the Lone Lands or the start of the
Oh,
Lone Lands.
yeah,
excuse
yeah,
me.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah. I
Yeah,
can't
it's a
remember
good
it, but
one.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate that dungeon. It's miserable. I despise it. It's boring and
Yeah, I
that's-
agree. The only reason we
that's
did
my
it was because
fear.
for a while you had the one gold chest at the end.
Yeah, well, we were going for the rewards, and we were trying something that we'd never run before. But and that's my fear of what this kind of game would be like. It's just it's boring, waiting for somebody who's lagged out to stand on their pedestal, and hopefully they don't move too early, and everybody falls to their death. I don't know yeah, puzzle
It's better
games.
than the Hobbit slapping one. I mean, that's in the same series.
True.
Where you have the hypnotized hobbits walking towards the cauldron and you have to slap them in the face.
Yeah.
Actually, that sounds better than it is in practice.
Yeah, I don't know. The puzzles are okay to do on your own in my mind. It doesn't require a group effort to solve puzzles, and I don't think the experience is improved by making it a group effort. Killing things as a group, A1, A
Yeah.
plus, right on. Finishing Sudoku with 5 other people, nah.
Well, the exception seems to be Portal, which has I'm told, fantastic cooperative system of Portal playing.
Yeah.
But that's different. It's
It's
because
actually
you can just. Well, no, it's more like one of you is the brain and the other has to just do what you say.
true.
I don't know how you do that in an MMO with 10, 20 people solving the same
True.
puzzle. I'm going to install it and I'm going to try it out, damn it.
There you
It's
go.
free.
Awesome. Okay, that's it for our news for this week. If you like the show, check out our sponsors, Doghouse Systems. Use the code MMO Reporter at doghousesystems.com to double your RAM. And of course, if you like audiobooks, check out Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter to get your first month free. Now, Harry, if people want to contact us other than sending hate mail to Leonor, how could they do that?
Well, they could go to our website, which is mmoreporter.com. They could email us at mmo.reporter@gmail.com. They can Facebook it as facebook.com/MMOReporter. We have a Twitter at MMO_reporter, at Harry Hall, at Leonor, at MMO Bill. Our voicemail is 616-666-6778, or the widget on the right and the left side of the page. And we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/MMO Network.
Did you used to be on Saved by the Bell?
I did a Micro Machines commercial back in the 80s.
I love that you got the reference right away. Well, gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks, Bill, for joining us once again.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks, Harry, as always. It's a blast to chat with you about MMOs.
It is, and it's an honor for you to be talking to a guy who was rejected by Stephen Fry.
You know what? It absolutely is. The star of stage and screen and rejection letters, Mr. Harry Hall.
I feel like I was rejected by Stephen Fry just being here with you.
Then I did my job.
All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for coming out and hanging out with us, chat room. It has been a blast chatting with you. Thanks to everyone for listening to the podcast. As always, we really, really appreciate it. We hope that you download the podcast again next week. But most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.